Welcome to This Explainer. I'm absolutely pumped to have you here today because we're about to dive into a truly fascinating psychological puzzle. Have you ever wondered why our minds just seem to naturally crave hidden plots? Why, literally across every culture and every era in history, humans are completely drawn to the idea of a secret mastermind pulling the strings behind the scenes? Well, today, we're going to break down exactly how our brains process information, how we cope with uncertainty, and how we search for meaning in what is, let's be real, a highly complicated world. So, what if everything you knew was a lie? Just hearing that probably sends a little thrill down your spine, doesn't it? I mean, imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the news, your history books, all the major events of the world were actually part of some massive hidden plan. That premise is just emotionally magnetic. It's totally gripping. It taps directly into our deepest fears, our curiosity, and our very human desire to feel like we're in on a secret. Whether these claims are actually true or completely false, that undeniable magnetic pull is exactly what we're going to investigate today.
Okay, let's get right into it. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to hit 5 key areas. 1. Wired for conspiracy. 2. Why smart people believe. 3. A history of hidden plots. 4. The digital misinformation engine. And finally, 5. The future of truth.
Section 1, Wired for Conspiracy, our evolutionary hardware. To truly understand belief, I want you to picture our early ancestors walking through a dense forest. Suddenly, they hear the rustling of leaves. Is it just the wind, or is it a predator? From an evolutionary standpoint, assuming it was a predator, even if it was just the wind, was always the safer choice for survival, right? Today, that ancient survival hardware manifests as apophenia. It's kind of a snappy term for the tendency to perceive meaningful connections between completely unrelated events. Think about looking up at the sky and seeing recognizable faces or animals in random clouds. Well, conspiracy thinking operates on that exact same hardware. When our brains encounter disconnected events, they naturally try to stitch them together into a meaningful narrative, which is exactly how someone can look at a flock of pigeons in the park and genuinely conclude that, birds aren't real, they're government drones. Another fascinating psychological quirk we all share is something called proportionality bias. Basically, our brains are deeply, deeply uncomfortable with randomness. When a massive, world-altering event happens, like a global pandemic, a sudden financial collapse, or a presidential assassination, it is practically agonizing for the human mind to accept that it might have stemmed from mere chance or some tiny, insignificant catalyst. We just intuitively feel that a major dramatic event absolutely must have an equally major dramatic cause. A secret mastermind just feels like a much more satisfying explanation than a random, chaotic accent. Section 2, Why Smart People Believe. The psychological software. So there's this really common myth that high intelligence or higher education automatically protects you from misinformation. But our psychological software says otherwise. Doctors, engineers, professors, they've all fallen for unfounded theories. In fact, highly intelligent people can sometimes be way better at defending these beliefs, simply because they're skilled at constructing really complex arguments to support the conclusions they've already made. Which brings us to confirmation bias. If apophenia is spotting the pattern, confirmation bias is locking it in. It's the tendency to seek out and remember only the information that supports what we already believe, while completely dismissing anything that contradicts it. Smart people can use their intellect to construct this self-reinforcing cycle, where every single unanswered question becomes proof of a cover-up, and every denial from an expert is just viewed as further evidence of the deception. So the absolutely crucial point here is the need for cognitive closure. Look, scientific investigation can take years. It's messy, it's slow, and it requires us to sit comfortably with uncertainty. But during times of immense stress, like a war or an economic recession, the brain hates uncertainty. It actively prefers the emotional comfort of a simple, definite conclusion over a prolonged, complex truth. Having a clear, albeit completely incorrect villain is emotionally much easier for us to process than the agonizing wait for nuanced scientific facts.
Let's move to Section 3, A History of Hidden Plots. Centuries of Suspicion.
History actually proves that conspiracy theories aren't just some modern invention cooked up on social media. We've zoomed in on the individual brain, but humanity has been stress testing these psychological tendencies for centuries. Back in the Middle Ages, people blamed the Black Death on hidden enemies simply because they didn't understand bacteria. During the scientific revolution, new discoveries sparked rumors of secret knowledge suppression. And, importantly, we have to acknowledge that some historical plots were entirely real. I mean, look at 44 BCE. The assassination of Julius Caesar was a documented actual conspiracy by Roman senators. Genuine historical conspiracies actually make the psychological puzzle so much harder because they prove that sometimes secrets really are kept.
So, how on earth do we tell the difference? We have to draw a stark and incredibly important juxtaposition here. Healthy skepticism is a good thing. It asks questions, it holds powerful institutions accountable, but it follows verifiable evidence and is actually open to changing its mind. Conspiracy thinking, on the other hand, operates in reverse. It starts with a fixed conclusion, like, say, believing the Earth is flat, and then it just cherry picks only the evidence that fits, throwing away all the rest. Validating healthy skepticism is vital, for sure, but we have to be intensely aware of the trap of unfounded suspicion.
Section 4. The Digital Misinformation Engine. The Modern Echo Chamber. We are now bringing our ancient biological hardware into the modern era. And quite frankly, our hardware is practically crashing because it's being completely overloaded by the digital age. Let's just walk step by step through the vicious cycle of the modern digital echo chamber. Step 1. You watch a video that makes you feel angry or fearful. Remember, our brains prioritize threat detection. Step 2. The platform's algorithm, which literally only cares about keeping your eyes glued to the screen, immediately recommends a dozen similar videos. Step 3, you are now in a filter bubble, and what psychologists call the illusory truth effect takes hold. This is a proven phenomenon where simply hearing a statement repeatedly makes it feel true, completely regardless of the actual facts. Basically, familiarity is mistaken for accuracy.
And as if the algorithms weren't enough, we now face this whole new beast, deepfakes and artificial intelligence. We all grew up with the phrase, seeing is believing, right? But with the rise of AI that can generate hyper-realistic voices, photos, and videos of events that never even happened, our own eyes can now deceive us. Visual evidence alone, isolated on a social media feed, is just no longer sufficient proof of reality. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, The Future of Truth, Navigating the Unknown.
Look, the information landscape is totally overwhelming right now, but you are not powerless. It's time to build a critical thinking firewall to navigate this new world. And the absolute foundation of that firewall is understanding a really vital difference. An assertion is just a statement. An confident influencer looking directly into a camera and making a dramatic claim, that is making an assertion. Confidence is not proof. Evidence, however, is independently verifiable information. Official records, scientific data, multiple independent eyewitnesses that actually supports the statement. We absolutely must stop confusing confident assertions with actual evidence. To put that into practice, here is an actionable checklist. Think of this as your digital citizen's toolkit. Before accepting any extraordinary claim online, just stop and ask yourself, who originally made this claim? Is there credible evidence? Have multiple independent sources verified it? And crucially, could there be a simpler explanation? Remember proportionality bias. Sometimes a huge, massive event really is just a series of ordinary, compounding accidents.
If you take only one thing away from our time together today, let it be this powerful guiding principle. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If someone claims they saw a rare bird in their backyard, a blurry photo might do the trick. But if someone claims a shadowy cabal has secretly controlled the global economy for 300 years without leaving a single paper trail, come on. The proof required for that must be undeniably extraordinarily strong. The size of the claim must always match the quality of the evidence.
Ultimately, understanding belief isn't just about debunking hidden plots or complaining about internet algorithms. It's really about looking inward. It's about recognizing our own brain's incredible pattern matching abilities, but also humbly acknowledging our vulnerabilities. It's about choosing patience over panic and evidence over assumption. So, I'm going to leave you with this lingering, profound question to carry with you the next time you open up your newsfeed. How do we know what we know? Embrace that intellectual humility, stay curious, ask questions, and always follow the evidence. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today, and keep exploring.